Hello everyone, Allie here, and welcome to the Gold Mine. Thank you so much for joining me here on another episode at Allie's Treasure Trove. Today we're getting into a new episode here of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, episode number 31 in this playthrough to be exact. We're getting into investigation part 2 of this here case number 3 in the Great Ace Attorney to resolve. So last time, if you guys missed it, did have trial part 2. Talked with some very aggravating witnesses, the balloon guy, the demon child, and then Gina was back. I like Gina. Gina was actually very helpful there in that trial part, I'd say, just in terms of, dragging the information out of, she ended up getting the information out, trying to say, that she didn't see just randomly that bird cage appeared in the sky from, supposedly the instant kinesis, and then angry demon child was like, there's a balloon. So then proved there was the balloon there that happened to just conveniently catch footage, a picture there of the arrow that shot, the flaming arrow that shot from the crossbow to pop the balloon, for all the scamming to happen. Big old sham. The sham spear was actually the experiment all along. So it also seemed like that very shifty engineer does have something to do here with the case. Apparently, as confirmed by Hairbrain, he was off the side of the stage during the presentation, and he was most likely holding that crossbow. So him and Mr. Aspen, both up to some shady business. But was the engineer the murderer? We'll just have to keep going and find out. Also, big news, Susato is back. We don't know why, but Susato's back. I'm very happy about it, and I'm assuming that's what we're going to take care of first here. I bet there's going to be a lot of discussion here in Investigation Part 2. Ryunosuke, Susato, Iris, and Sholmes. Then I don't know if we'll actually get to investigating anything or not, or if this is just going to be a very, very talky portion. So let's see. We'll probably go see Hairbrain if I had to guess. But anyways, here we go. It's the 23rd of October at 2:41 p.m. Believe court just let out, so here for the afternoon. We should be back tomorrow for, I guess, trial part 3. But at the consultancy, which is just Sholmes' attic. Nice to see the ancient Charlie is still alive over there. Let's get started. Susato! Oh, welcome! Oh, this room! It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to say so familiar. I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left. But it has been some 6 months, it's true. So this is your father? Is your father all right, Susie? What happened? My father? Yes, Professor Mikotaba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received. Oh, the soundtrack is so great, dude. Can't even read the text, man. I'm just jamming. I'm like that cat, the head-bopping cat meme right now. Because the telegram he'd received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised but happy. My father lied to us. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you. That was all a trick. My father's in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. And it's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Lord Sussheart. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. That's true. And after all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh! Oh snap, we're gonna tell Iris her dad's dead? You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About, you know who. About Cosmo. Apparently Lord Voldemort now. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Alright, these are a lot of text boxes here. Let's just go in order, back in Britain. Even though I want to click on the fourth one the most. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. The awful trial? Oh, yes. for the murder of Giselle Bratz. Ooh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Ryutaro. No, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing. I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Runo? Yes, I suppose so. I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. And I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. Let's get her a box. That's what they all do when they're short, right? They just give them boxes. Just stand on a milk crate, Iris. It'll be fine. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. And you said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings. That's right! The very large dog collar! Okay, so it was a dog collar. We found with the bee emblem on it. And it seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. Why would that be, then? Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh God, we're telling Iris. Iris, your dad's dead. I'm so sorry. Oh, Susie! Oh, this isn't gonna go well. Oh no. That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. See, Iris, very conveniently, the way we started off this adventure is actually Ryunosuke here was accused of murdering your dad. Alright, let's go in order. Got those tricky ones there. We got about Giselle Bratz and then about Cosmo. Alright, let's just go on this one. Lord Susshart mentioned something about the Symposium, too. And I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend. Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku haven't been invited. Oh, the judge is gonna throw down, huh? The judge can Susato take down people, too. It's something of an honor, I believe. Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruto. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. I love Susato's disappointed / slightly angry face. She looks like a cute little toddler. I just want to pinch her cheeks. She's 16, but I want to pinch her cheeks. Be like, ah, small child. Be like, I'm only 8 years younger than you. Be like, nah, bring me them cheeks. Face cheeks, Susato. Bring me the face cheeks. I want to pinch them. Good save, Allie, good save. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder. Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over the trial. He's got a very impressive beard. Let me just. Ah, they're gone! I was gonna get a little pinch PNG. I was gonna pinch Susato's cheeks. I guess I can only use the fist. Susato, I won't fist PNG your face. Anyways, if I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life. Oh, well anyway, as Father was invited to the Symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end, he agreed to me going on ahead. Totally wasn't expensive for us to take a 6-week boat trip separately. Money's not an issue, I suppose. Yes, about the Symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he is hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General. The most senior position in the British justice system. He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Like I'm saying, this guy is... I don't trust him. I don't know. I feel like he's behind-the-scenes super mastermind. It didn't seem that way at the end of the first game. I was thinking we'd have the big reveal there, but I still don't trust him, man. He seems to know too much. I also think he's out there assassinating people. that lose to Barack. I don't, he seems to be like, well, if they deserve to die, they deserve to die, it's fine. Like, I don't trust him, I don't know. Feel like I could just be barking up the wrong tree here, but the longer we go on and he doesn't do anything particularly egregious, I'm like, maybe not. But like, from that first time we arrived, I don't like the guy. I don't know, man. My gut says he's suspicious. I'm still on it. I'm still on the Lord Susshart train, but we'll see. I think actually I did the math. We're here on episode number 31. I think we actually, unless we get bamboozled again, we have a multi-part episode and it doesn't let me know, we should be finishing up in a, I think actually maybe 2 weeks from when you guys are seeing this episode, should be going up to episode number 41. So 10 episodes left here for the whole game. I'm real curious to see what happens. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Mikotoban know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it. I gotta use that. You're like, sorry, I lost the will to live, so I didn't pay attention. How trying for you? Alright, is this it? Is this it? Yeah, I feel like we should have Sholmes here for this. Be like, Iris, we know you kind of got used to him being your fake dad, but he's your real dad now because your real dad's dead. Alright, Giselle Bratz. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Giselle Bratz. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. Oh? Who could have thought that Jail Brat was a fake name? Who would have thought, anyways? It didn't exist, but how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin. Oh. Oh. You guys remember that from the Japanese Morse code telegram on the disc? Mr. McGilded's disc? And she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front. The front? Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Her real name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? Iris, why did the British government send an assassin after your dad? I'm just saying. I think Lord Strongheart did it. I don't know. Going deeper into the conspiracy. Look, you guys, if this is as weird as I get conspiracy-wise, it's a blessing. I could get a lot weirder. I have a brain, though. I do have a brain. I keep my conspiracy theories to video games and Upper Deck. But yeah, just think it could be a lot worse. I could say the moon's fake. You guys remember that discussion during the stream? The moon's a salt projection, right? I know somebody who believes the moon's fake. It's a government conspiracy, the moon's fake. Anyways, I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that the moon is actually a salt projection. I saw it at the Great Exhibition. Is that she had some business in her country that we don't understand yet. And now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. Gosh darn it. Dude, what was that guy's name? The reporter? Come on, man. I mean, it's not like she would tell us anyways, but come on, man. Now we have no chance of figuring anything out. I'm afraid so. A. Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Oh, so we're not keeping secrets, but we're not going to talk about Giselle Brett until Iris, her dad, died. One thing we gotta do, though. One thing we gotta do. I don't know if I've already punted the achievement, but we gotta look at the shovel. Thinking back, that spade's been in here since we first moved in, hasn't it? I'm sure I've told you before, Mr. Naruhodo, it's not a spade, it's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No! All right, hold on, all right. I'll let you guys listen to the music. Totally not doing, there we go. That's not a PNG. Why? Why are you all JPEGs? Doo-doo. These are all JPEGs. What are you? This is a really crappy one, alright. Let's see. What did we last have up? Punch. Alright. Fist PNG. This is horrible. I just wanna... She's so cute and frustrated! Allie, that's a minor, you gotta stop, alright. I just wanna pinch her cheeks. Man. She's adorable. Susato's adorable. Anyways, it's a shovel! The Great Spade Shovel War rages on. Alright, alright. I honestly don't know if I've missed one already, but now that I know that that's an achievement that exists, I've been clicking on it every time we're in here. Alright, let's find out about Cosmo! Renosuke, I'm dead. After my friend Ray's trial, she found this lightsaber in the sand. The reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. And that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Cosmo-sama. And what did you learn? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been? Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared. Alright, very unsettling. What? Cosmo's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Cosmo-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoban know about this? Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Cosmo-sama's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? I mean, I don't know, but I got goosebumps, and I'm not even these characters, man. I'm weirded out right now. The Cosmo Mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Burya were definitely strange. Yeah, to say the least. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive? Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo! It's too much to bear! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Yo, we got a loose rogue Cosmo somewhere? That was not on my plot twist bingo. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Cosmo-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? Yeah, that was very oddly convenient. And he definitely examined the body, I remember it clearly. Huh, you're right. So if Cosmo hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing. I suppose that's true, yes. Oh my god! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Where's that guy? Is that Cosmo? Bruh! Bruh! That would be wild! No way, dude, no! It said he seemed familiar! My brain hurts. My brain hurts. No. No. No way. Come on. What? What? Gina looking nice. I like Gina's hair. I love her new outfit. You lying to us, Kermit? Kermit? You got something to say, Kermit? What? Bruh. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. Aw, somebody give Susato a hug. Give that lady a hug. I'm terrified of what it might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. Give her a hug. Oh my god, Ryunosuke. And I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Is Cosmo the weird assassin dude? I mean, we know Cosmo could throw down. He's proficient with the sword, right? With his katana. How long has Van Zieks? Do we know how long Van Zieks has had his assistant? But why would Sholmes be in on it? But Sholmes seems to know something about Van Zieks that we don't know. I figured maybe Sholmes had to do with investigating the case about his brother and that serial killer, but maybe it's something to do with this. You know, it's moments like these that I'm like, YOLO, I should just play this game for 20 hours straight just to figure out what's going on, but I can't do that. I can't do that. I really don't have time to do it. This is painful. You guys better appreciate that I'm playing this on the channel, because if I wasn't, I could just be sitting in bed right now, not having to hold this microphone filter, just steamrolling through this game. We got any gifts for Susato? I don't know. Thought we were gonna be talking to Iris. There she is. She's so tiny. Why are you still in your Mickey Mouse outfit? Must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it the Hound of the Baskervilles. Well, now we know why he said you can't put that case out there, because I bet you that's where the caller's from. Yeah, we're just having a lot of revelations here today. It's all connected. It's all connected. It's all falling into place. Yo, Iris, you should let us read that so we can figure out what's up with that dog collar. Oh my goodness, my brain is gonna explode! But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it, except Gina when she broke into the pawnbrokery. So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh God, we gotta tell. We are. I was like, oh, Susato tapped out there on that Giselle Brett, but I guess we do have to tell her. Oh, it sounds so exciting! The Hound of the Baskervilles! I should love to read it! And you wouldn't tell me. How'd you come to know it? Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh! I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There's a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, "The Hound of the Baskervilles." What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time. But Father came in and... Susato! Susato, what are you doing? I don't know, why are you always lying to me all the time, Father? Oh, Father, I was just cleaning. Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? Why are you so suspicious? But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions. And there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I have no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it. I don't know if I believe it. But still, I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. I don't know. I mean, that seems like she was telling the truth, but we also still haven't told Iris that her dad's dead. To be fair, are we 110% certain it's the same Dr. John H. Wilson? That's a very generic name. But how many people are professors, traveling, been gone for 10 years, have hung out with Mr. Sholmes? You know, I'm just saying. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I can't believe the masked guy is Kazuma. I've committed every detail to the case, about the case to memory. Oh my goodness, I miss Susato so much. She's back. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well. So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Miss Susato. I'd expect nothing less, to be honest. I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick. Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then, we need to go and arrest him! Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree, we really do need to find the man. Sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective. Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think. Good idea. Well, best of luck then. Oh, you're not coming today? I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you? Come on, Iris, you don't want to hang out with us? Susie's first day back, Iris, what are you doing? I guess she wants to make some more special blends. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Sorry, we're in Britain, we say herbs. Right? At Steven. You guys, over there, I feel like I've heard in British TV shows say herbs. If not, who says herbs? New location! I like the little commentary down here. Where's our new location? No, I want to go visit the masked dude. Come on. Come on, Susato. We gotta go hang out with Van Zeeks and his weird assistant that might be Cosmo. Guess we'll go look at Madame Tuspells. You're like, hello, Kermit, please help us. Oh my! No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. Aw, I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets. I can understand that. I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Maybe he's in his office. You're like, yo, Lord Strongheart, why'd y'all fake Cosmo's murder? I wonder if I'm supposed to be putting that together or if I just spoiled a big plot twist. Like, I'm honestly not sure. Because there's been stuff in these games that I have not caught on to at all. Like, I called the villain twist very early on at the end of Spirit of Justice. But I didn't call the Apollo getting more of a tragic background twist. I didn't call that one. That one took me off guard completely. At the end of Dual Destinies, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't expect that. So, like, there's been some, like, looking back, like, kind of obvious stuff that I didn't predict. But also stuff that I did call. Like, I was a bit suspicious, but I didn't expect, because that was the first time that we had something like that. Of course, actually, we've had it here. We actually had it in Game 1 of Chronicles, but the end of, what's 2? Trials and Tribulations? Or, it goes TNT and then Justice for All, right? But the end of Game 2, 2.5. That one caught me off guard, very much so. I was like, I don't know about this, but then when it came out, I was like, no way, that can't be possible. I don't want to give you guys spoilers. I know a lot of you all have played these games before, or seen it. Original Phoenix Wright trilogy came out, what, early 2000s? So if you guys don't want spoiler, alright, for the next, like, couple minutes, I guess I could put a jump for you guys if you want to skip the spoiler. So I'll make sure, actually write myself a little note here somewhere. There's a little sticky notes. Talking spoilers. So that way I can cut it out. Alright, so at the end of, yeah, I think it's Trials and Tribulations number 2. But whatever the second game was, at the end of the case, the first time it happened, your client actually is guilty. What happened is Matt Ongard actually hired an assassin to kill his rival, and then hired Phoenix Wright because he knows Phoenix Wright always gets people off the hook. You know, just assuming that, like, it must just be bribery or something. You know, and he turns out he's an evil POS. But, so Matt Ongard, that was a big twist there for me. I was like, I don't know, this client seems a little off. Things aren't adding up. And then he's like, yeah, I did it, so what? What are you gonna do? And it was just, that was pretty wild. End of Dual Destinies. I didn't figure out that actually Fulbright was dead the whole time, and it was actually just the Phantom, and the Phantom did it that way. And then that one was crazy. It was, you know, Simon took the fall because it was pinned on Athena. So then Simon put himself in prison because he thought Athena somehow snapped and did it because Athena's mom was kind of also a POS. But, you know, so he's like, maybe Athena just snapped and killed her mom. You know, when Athena was like, what, 6? I don't know, tiny. And then And so then Simon said that he did it so that she wouldn't get in trouble. But it turns out it was the Phantom the whole time. And then the Phantom had snuck back in to finish off the job, to get his blood off the moon rock. And that's why he killed Apollo's best friend. Apollo has a horrible backstory. If you guys don't know what's happened with Apollo Justice. So game 1. Alright, so Apollo Justice, he got his own game. His game 4 in the whole Ace Attorney series. So he wants to be a lawyer. He used to love Phoenix Wright. Growing up, he's like, yo, Phoenix Wright's cool. I want to be a defense lawyer. Phoenix Wright then gets bamboozled by, it turns out to be Christoph Gavin. Gave him forged evidence because Christoph Gavin wanted the big Gramarye case, which is all going to be related. Wanted the big Gramarye case, and the guy's like, I don't like you, I changed my mind, I'm going to go with the Phoenix Wright guy. So Christoph had already paid to get the evidence forged, so he sent Trucy, whose dad was killed in this case, or whose dad was accused of murder in this case, sent Trucy to like, hey, I found this evidence. You give it to Phoenix and be like, it's good evidence, and then expose Phoenix as having forged evidence, because he warned his brother, Clavier, who was the prosecutor, that I heard there's going to be fake evidence presented by Phoenix Wright in his trial. Set him up there. So then Apollo's mentor goes to work for the offices of Christoph. So the first case in the game, Phoenix Wright is your client. He's kind of a bum. He's been accused of murder of some random dude. Turns out, you reveal at the end of the game, the random dude was Trucy's dad. Anyways... But it turns out Christoph killed this guy and was trying to pin it on Phoenix. So the first case of Apollo Justice, you're sitting there and you're playing as Apollo. Your mentor's Christoph. He's next to you. And you're like, bro, what the heck did you just do? You figure out that, like, yeah, this guy standing next to me is actually kind of a crazy murderer. And then also so that broke up the troop. And then actually you learn, and last case of the game, big shenanigans going on, also involves Christoph, where he likes to poison people. Just the poison ticking time bomb took 6 years to work, because it's on the back of a stamp, and the child that he gave the stamp to was the artist who forged that piece of evidence that ruined Phoenix's life in the past. He gave her a collectible, cute little Gramarye stamp, because that was actually the case he was working on. So he's like being super meta Christoph. And he put poison on the back of the stamp, thinking that, lick the stamp, they're gonna die. Get rid of the people who forged it, you don't have to worry about it coming to light. But she's like, but Dad, I want to keep the stamp, it's cute. So they kept the stamp forever. And then eventually the father, Mr. Misham, and Vera Misham was the artist. She was the young girl that was just super talented, would make the forgeries. And she was a child, she didn't know what she was doing. Anyways, so eventually he just ran out of stamps, and he's like, all right, we got this one stamp, I'm gonna use it. And then he died, because it had poison on it for the past, like I said, 6 years. So then Vera Misham gets taken to court for killing her dad. And then you defend her, and then this all comes out. Was that case? Is that case 4 or 5? Anyway, I thought that was the end of the case. Yeah, because there's the big Christoph at the end. Yeah, but also the case before is there is, so I think case 4. I might be getting the order of them switched up, but this is all just adding tragic to just different Apollo. So then, anyway, so back to the Gramarye family magicians. Trucy's dad, of course, as we know, died. Trucy's mom was there. Trucy's mom, also, as it turns out, is also Apollo's mom. So they're half-siblings. Apollo doesn't know that she's her mom, that she's his mom. And that he knows that his original dad had died. Alright, so that's already tragic. Doesn't know that Trucy's his half-sister. Mentor, his whole life goals originally got crushed when Phoenix Wright was supposedly disbarred for forging evidence. And then his mentor, he's like, alright, so I'm gonna go with this dude. His mentor in court, first little court case of his entire life, is like, yep, my mentor's actually a murderer. And was the person who set up Phoenix Wright. Anyway, so you're going in the spirit of justice, right? No, we're not even going to that. More tragedy. So apparently growing up in the orphanage, because he just kind of got abandoned. Growing up in the orphanage, he had this best friend growing up named Clay, and Clay got this super sick job at the space station. But you know what? The Phantom said, nah, get out of my way, I want that moon rock. Gets murdered. So Clay's only friend his entire life gets murdered. So has no family, grows up an orphan. Best friend gets murdered, gets super depressed. Anyway, so we're moving in the spirit of justice, continuing the tragedy of Apollo. So here's big spoilers. The twist I didn't expect. A little bit of a setup for this. There's a revolutionary in the Korean country. His name is Dirk. Apparently, Apollo, before he was in the American orphanage, got adopted by this guy and is actually kind of the adopted sibling of Nahyuta. And so that's the prosecutor of the game for Spirit of Justice. And so Dirk comes back to the United States saying he wants to visit Apollo. I've missed you. And it's like, okay. But it turns out, based on what was going on the whole time in Karain, Queen Garan is just killing off people, trying to stamp out, the revolution, had broken up their happy family units, who was her sister, because she wanted the throne. So she tried to murder her sister and pin it on Dirk, and the sister was stupid enough to believe it. So that's how. So they're all friends. The visiting musician was Apollo's dad, and I guess Thalassogrammary, which is his mom, were hanging out initially. Met with, I guess they were friends, like I said, traveling musicians, were friends, or were invited to some kind of shindig by Dirk and the queen, so Nahyuta's mom. And then Queen Garan burnt down the building, pinned it on Dirk, so then it's like everybody turned against Dirk. Dirk was on the run. So that's how Apollo's dad died, which actually, so the gimmick of Spirit of Justice was being able to channel the victim's last views. Apollo literally had to channel his own dad and watch his dad's vision before he died. So that's pain. And then also pain, because of course spirit channeling, big thing, going to the spirit. And necessary context is his spirit mediums in this game series. That was probably important to mention. But anyway, so Maya from the original games gets kidnapped and is saved by Dirk. Dirk actually gets shot and killed. And Dirk's last wish to Maya is, I want you to channel me, and I want you to go back to the U.S. to visit my son. So Apollo's hanging out with Dirk the whole time Dirk was dead. That blew my mind in Spirit of Justice. If you guys want to see ultimate depression, is Apollo realizing that Dirk was dead the whole time. It's nuts. So not only does Apollo get his supposed original father figure back, he's also dead. This man cannot live a happy life, I swear. But anyway, so I didn't predict the Phantom twist. I didn't predict Dirk being dead. I did predict Garan being insane from, like, case 1 of Spirit of Justice. So that was fine. People complain that, oh, she's too predictable. I'm like, I don't feel like that was supposed to be the big twist of the game. People don't like Spirit of Justice. I loved it. I like Spirit of Justice better than the game 3. I just don't care for Godot at all. It's like, whatever. Unpopular opinion up in here. But I found his story moving, but otherwise I just don't particularly care. But, so there's stuff I haven't caught on. So I'm wondering if I'm supposed to catch on to this, if it's a red herring, if Cosmo is the masked guy or not. But that's been about 10 minutes of spoilers, so let me make a note that I went on a rant for 10 minutes. So 34, approximately 44, in the original unedited footage. Probably going to be a little bit different. But anyway, so I've done with the spoiler chat. Long story short, there's been some stuff I picked up on, some stuff that's completely caught me off guard. So I don't know if I'm catching on to something big and ruining it for all of you. Or it's not relevant at all. I don't know. But the pieces are coming together. And let's see if Sholmes is hiding out here instead of doing his waxwork. Looks like he's not. I've talked so much, I've almost forgotten what we're supposed to be doing. Hey, why do you have one of Van Zeek's glasses here? Or something that at least looks similar enough. Suspicious. Secret besties. Let's look over here. There's an achievement for looking at Iris's Blackboard constantly. This Blackboard is where Iris scribbles down her latest ideas, isn't it? Let's see. Oh, she seems to have drawn a lot of little stick figures all lined up. Look. Cheap apples at the market, is what all of them say. What? The little figures can speak? Oh my goodness, Renosuke. All your questions would be answered if only you would read this month's Rants magazine. So I'm the only one who can't make any sense of this. Alright, so we've checked the Blackboard. Alright, hopefully again I didn't miss that achievement either. I don't like looking at the achievement guides, but I did scroll through on Steam for what has achievements. When I got that weird one by clicking on the shoe. So So I know there's the getting all the ladder and step ladder arguments. I haven't encountered any of those. All the shovel and spades. Like I said, I think I might have missed one with Sholmes. I don't know. And then one for checking out all of Iris's ideas on the Blackboard. So like you miss one, you kinda messed up for the whole game. So hopefully I didn't miss one, but we'll see. So we're at the Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. Gina's getting harassed by a dog. I had no idea there were so many people in the world. And I know what you mean. It's really packed here today. It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point. Has it? I shut my brain down, so I really didn't notice, to be honest. I lost the will to live 2 hours ago, Susato, so I didn't notice. Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruto. There you are. I had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long. Oh. Gina's in the background, but it was Gregson. Sunshine! Oh, Inspector Gregson. I see you're hard at work as usual. Warm greetings to you! I do hope you've been keeping well since we last met. What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning. He's not talking to you, Brianosuke. Not you, Sunshine! That gentlewoman so loyally at your side! Oh! Why, thank you, Inspector! How good of you to notice! He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate this scene some more. Right, well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina! She seems to be busy playing with a puppy. Probably giving it a traditional East End training. Gina! She's a police officer now? Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. She's got the detection bug, if you ask me. I mean, she is good at stealing stuff, so she'd probably be very perceptive. Yep, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? I'm being transferred. What? 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 Oh no, really? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? We'll come to see how you're getting along. Not likely, but you're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is. Why are we shipping Gregson off to France? I'll be working in the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France, it's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, Sunshine. Now don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. Now I have to scream in French. Je parle français. Je voudrais le fish and chips. I don't even know how I would do Gregson in French. I mean, obviously just the same as I do it in English, but I don't know. This is weird. This is weird. This is suspicious activity. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go. What? You're taking Gina to Paris? Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what'd become of her? Why are we shipping Gina off to Paris? And I suppose he's worried she'd slip back into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses. I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruto. I think he's worried about the Reaper. Oh, of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, is it? Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing, you hear me? No, of course not. I've got to keep that diving diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least. Even Strongheart says there's something, or not Strongheart, even Gregson. Oi! Did you just call me a bloomin' diving diva again? That's what I'm saying. Even Gregson's like, something is afoot. So you heard that, did you? Right, well, any questions about the scene, you can put them to my capable detective diva here. All right, you've heard the boss. I'm capable, eh? Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now. And I suppose I'd better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. Paris. So, Gina, you've got a new dog, have you? Oh, I don't like dogs, but that's a cute dog. Isn't he great? Toby's the name. Toby, oh my goodness. There's a Naruto crossover. Like, Toby, don't summon Madara. Don't summon Kaguya. Don't summon the tree. Don't do it. This dog is gonna end the world. Oh my goodness. It's all coming together, I swear. Oh, how delightful! He's absolutely adorable! Yes, the dog does seem lovely, but it's the not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Yo, what's up, Gina? Let's converse. Hey? We'll converse, hey? Investigating the scene. Gina? We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's alright, is it? I'm gonna be playing with me new friend here. Nah, yes, Toby. Rude? Don't bark at me. I'm just trying to click the spacebar on the keyboard. The machine that exploded must be at the top of these stairs, I presume? No, you haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Alright, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh! It's like I told Odo yesterday, even I ain't allowed near that rat. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Isn't that what you were thinking of? That's the one? That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic something? The forensic investigation team? Is that what you were thinking of? That's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with ya. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other, as far as I know. What was his name again? Old Strange something? I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? That's the one, yeah. Apparently, he's always watching the time or something. So without Lord Strongheart's express permission, we can't investigate on the stage. Alright, so then we gotta go visit Lord Sussheart. Talk about the trial. It was great, weren't they? I had a light laugh. It was a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying I'm about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, you know those made some things odd for me every time and all. Just doing my job, Gina. But watching someone else get it in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruto's client. Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. It's the boss I feel sorry for, sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest out of the cove, ain't he? And in time for tomorrow and all. You know, the dodgy engineer. What's his name again? Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber? That's the one, yeah. So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. And I guess they would be. It's putting too much on the boss if you ask me. He says it's giving him a gut ache. Oh dear! But I do wonder if that isn't actually from all the fried food. So Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber, and I wonder if they've had any luck. He's really funny looking, got two eyes what don't match, stole a glimpse of a picture of him earlier. I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it. Sorry, who? You know, that scowling reaper what's always glugging down glasses of that blood-red plunk. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks! He's always added in for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, mine. Probably would have been a pretty good boss as it goes. She'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than the detective's trainee. The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-guggling demigod, you're equally badly off with both. I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. I'm glad we've put that one to bed. Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer, but there don't seem to be no clues to go on, so they're stuck. And there's nothing that can lead us to Drebber at all. Toby the dog. Where did you find that little mutt then, Gina? Oi, don't be so flamin' rude, Odo. Slight overreaction, don't you think? He ain't no mutt, alright? Toby's, how did they put it? Oh yeah? A bona fide detective. Sorry, I've given him a proper title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he? Ooh, so he's a police dog, is he? The police recruit dogs now. I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell after all. And I have a fairly good sense of smell myself as it happens. Yeah, just give Toby the crossbow. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. What, Susato, you don't use the sniff test? Ah, he's nothing compared to this little fellow, Odo. No, really. According to what the boss said, once Toby has got a good whiff of your drawers, he could chase that scent to the other side of the world. What? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim? Oh my goodness. Mr. Naruto, I think you may have missed the point by a rather wide margin. I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill. I'm telling you, Odo, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing the bit for the police in the future. Yes, I agree. Right? One of these days, they'll be barking orders at his lot, not the other way around. Oh dear. Sorry, Gina. I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby is Britain's first police dog. Aww. I found him down the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street. There you go. And I knew she lifted him from somewhere. Look, Odo, finders keep on the dog, eh? Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you, to children and to animals? All right, let's give Toby. Hey, Gina, let him sniff this. We know he touched it. No, my goodness. Doesn't work. Alright, so we gotta go talk to Lord Strongheart. Then maybe we can present. Ah, what did I click on? I don't even know what I clicked on. Looking for this, Odo? What, you reckon, eh? Move. Lord Strong Suss's office. Who are you? You don't look normal. What's with that haircut? Why are you glaring at us? Stop, dude. Oh, who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder. I've never seen her before. Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh, do you mean because of Professor Hairbrain's experiments? Sham science being demonstrated at London's greatest exhibition? The country's been made to look foolish, and now politicians are scrabbling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I'm just doing my job and all. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. A special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. It's scrap metal now, is it? Until later then, Lord Strongheart. She looks evil! You can't tell me she's not evil. I want her outfit, though. They look evil. This is an evil power couple if I've ever seen one. Yes, thank you. Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney Scythe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact. Oh, I see. About Mr. Assman. Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory. Ah, right. Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. He's not running quite so spectacularly late anymore. Yes, I'd like to converse with you. What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science in everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way. Goodness! A year ago?! At next month's Symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. And once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly. What do you mean? Far too long. These scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes, when London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in fires of hell. And you guys want to tell me that he's not suspicious? Just because it seems like, man, I get it, the guy just wants to clean up the streets, doesn't mean he's not evil. I don't know, man. I don't know. And I intend to see it all personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known, to protect our honor and our future. Look at those eyes. He means every word. Yeah, those are some crazy eyes. Dr. Scythe is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the Symposium, Miss Mikotaba... Oh! Yes, my lord! Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan. Yes, that's right! I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month! Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikotaba, I mean. It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotaba very well. If memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student. It was the year I was born. He just dipped out. It was kind of weird. So yeah, 16 years ago, in fact. My mom popped me out and he just left for like 5 years. Ms. Kotaba was a young practitioner of forensic science, and Jigoku accompanied him as a young promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way. I didn't think that you were. Dr. Mikotaba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Scythe was also there then, as it happens. Then, Dr. Scythe knows my father, does she? She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. But I've no doubt they knew of each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotaba was here studying his subject for some 6 years in total. 6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years! So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years? Yeah, Dad of the Year, am I right? It was a rather turbulent time at home. Oh. Perhaps Father wanted a reason to get away. What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Interesting. And I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zeeks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor who targeted nobles and royalty, is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. What? Why? When his brother, Clint Van Zeeks, was murdered, it It was just after young Brock had graduated from the University of London and became a prosecutor, when obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing. Rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Brock Van Zeeks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Oh my word! So, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper. It's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles. Oh yes, Lord Stronghearts. Go ahead. It's about Professor Hairbrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains if possible. Are you well versed in science then? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently. Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Sai's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. But I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing. Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing. And I'll be able to see it too! Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls. We're extremely sorry to have troubled you when you were so busy, my lord. I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand. It's all coming together! New location? What's a new location? The lab? Let's go talk to Barack! You want to talk to him? I guess we can go learn more about the body. Talk to this lady. Yeah, she's got a cool office. Why does all these people look like vampires? And I believe this is it, Dr. Sai's laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose. And there's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too. It looks as though the doctor isn't here. But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think? What a seasoned tourist you've become, Miss Susato. We could just have a little look around, being careful not to upset any restless souls. Let's touch stuff! Yes! Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside them. I suppose they're fruit liquors or something. Or like the pickled umeboshi plums we make back home. Ah, Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in a preserving solution. Probably as examples of some rare medical condition. Miss Susato, there are some things in the world that it's perfectly fine never to know about, ever. Oh! So as I said, I'm sure they're fruit liquors or umeboshi, aren't they? Oh, of course! Why, you want to take a little bite? This one's obviously a spine. A table and a set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it all looks quite innocent. So why is it that when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disturbing? It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air? You'd either have to have a cast iron constitution, or a really terrible sense of smell. Well, look at this. What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers are really very skilled, aren't they? Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruto? Miss Susato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope! I'll be sure to remember that from now on. What the heck? That looks like an owl and a crow up there. I know, and they haven't even twitched since we came in here. Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruto. I was afraid you were going to say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open. Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in the office instead. It's a nice lamp. And I suppose this is Dr. Side's desk. Ugh, I would not like to work in a place like this. It's very tidy though, isn't it, Mr. Naruto? Imagine how efficiently she must work. And the lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes. And the chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching you over as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves. Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose. And I can just about cope with a one-eyed Daruma doll watching over me, but that's all. I wanted to learn more about the lamp. And look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals. These ones here are labeled highly toxic. Ugh, that's worrying, because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there. Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals here sometimes. Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. All right. Why is there a torture device in the ceiling? All right, I think I've touched everything. All right. Let's go investigate. Hey, what's up, Gina? Oi. Gina. We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, all right. It's around here. You can do what you like. Oh, that's all right, is it? I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here. No, yes, Toby. The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh! It's like I told Odo yesterday, even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch the special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is that what you were thinking of? That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic something? The Forensic Investigation Team? Is that what you were thinking of? Yeah, that's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with ya. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other, as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something? I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? Yeah, that's the one, yeah. Apparently he's always watching the time or something. Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart. Eh? You what? You met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He waited for 3 hours at the Cove's office and came back sniveling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah? Honestly. Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it. He'll never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're still saying all this is above board, are you? I'm sure everything will be fine. That really would be tragic. Alright then, them's the stairs. Off you go. Oh, thank you, Gina. The stage up there is where the experiment was set up. It's very high, isn't it? About 30 feet, I believe. Or 9 meters if you prefer. Craning your neck to see up to it starts to hurt after a while, doesn't it? Yes, we need to get up there and look around properly. And although, if I'm honest, climbing all those stairs makes my chest hurt. Oh dear! I think perhaps you should exercise more, Mr. Naruto. do you get up there? That's how we got up there last time, wasn't it? Oh. These stairs lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go and see what we can find out. Okay, so I just slightly misclicked, I suppose. Oh my! So this is the machine that was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place? Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment. What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to in order to obtain the research grant? No. The professor was tricked as well. He didn't know anything about it. Yes, of course. It is amazing, though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British. You're right about that. You'd never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. Oh, look! Is that... Oh, hello there. Lord Van Zeeks! He looks so out of place. So I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mrs. Sato? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We do well to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here, from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine, as long as we don't touch anything. From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart? Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like. She could have been at the center of the explosion here, and it wouldn't have been her steel will. Yo, what's up, dude? Yo, what's up? Least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row. Be strong, Mr. Naruto! Your country and your assistants stand firmly behind you! Lord Van Zeeks. Hello, hi, how are you? What? Well? Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently, you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs. Oh, I read them. Susato told me to go over here. So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited. Well, the thing is... Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything. And yet you've managed to disturb me. Never mind. State your business, then. Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zeeks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this. Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo! You won't know unless you try! It's the first option. I feel like he's not going to appreciate us asking this question. So, about your brother Clint. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Van Zeeks? You Nipponese, I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you? Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a bit like that. My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Van Zeeks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us. The professor, you mean? Is something funny? That's the extent of what you've discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised. Sorry, there's more to it then. Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it? You're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next? So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident? As it happens, Lord Van Zeeks, there's a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork by chance? I am, naturally. I believe that since last month I featured in one of the displays there, for public scorn. Of course, the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't he? Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place and held for ransom. A particular waxwork? Which... Oh, wait, you mean? Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak. I was unaware of that. He's turned as white as a sheet. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already? Surely that goes without saying. We are very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle. So, I was just wondering. I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but, we'd very much appreciate any more clues you can give us. Wow, Susato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns. Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man here from an investigation 10 years ago. Though it appears he had already had that black monocle at the time. What? Oh, no, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us. We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we will have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the shortest time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph? What is it about Lord Van Zeeks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. Ah, the file I requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you. Are you Cosmo? Are you alright? Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato-san can see it, too. Lord Van Zeeks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment? With him? Why? I called it! Cosmo-sama! Cosmo? I don't believe it. Your posture, your presence, it can only be. It's you, isn't it, Cosmo-sama? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure, as if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Cosmo? Hey, get back here! Wait! Too late. What's going on here? What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something. Well, since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago. Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor. But he didn't tell you why, did he? Some of you out here trying to tell me that Lord Strongheart isn't suspicious and I'm not having it. The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself. He has amnesia! Tomorrow, he will appear in court at my side. What? He's to serve as my judicial assistant, on Strongheart's orders. He'll be in court with us? Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course. Oh, yes, thank you. Alright, so good, it wasn't like, I didn't super big brain something. I could've, if I had guessed it was Cosmo the first time, Ryunosuke was like, I feel like I know this dude. That would've been super big brain, but that wasn't super big. Good. I was worried I'd spoiled, like, end of game plot twist or something. Alright. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato-san called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Cosmo-sama. What a terrible explosion it must have been! Even the steel girders have buckled and twisted in the blast! And then what they call the birdcage is right in the middle of it all, just here. But look, Mr. Naruhodo! That metal grill on the floor! Looks as though it's designed to open! It does, doesn't it? And if the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. And I don't think there's any doubt that this is a very elaborate hoax, is there? Look at that horn-shaped transmitting device! Isn't it amazing? That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it. It makes you think, doesn't it? If only it had just been a normal horn, none of this would have happened. That's almost exactly what I thought as well. I bet I can predict what you're going to say next in that case. You're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you? Ryunosuke trying to be Joseph Joestar all up in here. Oh no, I would never say something like that. And next you'll say, I would never say something like that. Oh my goodness, how did you predict that? This wasn't here yesterday. Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he apparently beamed through the air. That's right, the birdcage. According to what Professor Hairbrain said in court, it's made of wood. Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo? And I understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they'd finished their work. But sadly, not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still. This is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Just take the whole thing with us. Alright, so I think we finished up here. Then we gotta go see the suspicious lady. You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, yesterday, in fact. At Lord Van Zeek's office. I see. And if Cosmo-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? I'm ready to cause some problems. Foreign affair problems. Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Miss Susato. Of course! Yo, what's up, Gina? Oi. What? Toby the dog. I mean, we'll click on it again. Gina? We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. It's around here, you can do what you like. I'm gonna skip to the new part. I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here. Apparently we can't look around on the stage now because the forensic investigation team are at work. Can't you do anything, Gina? In your capacity as Inspector Lestrade? Well, I'd like to help you out. But I'm just a trainee, ain't I? Ain't nothing I can do about it. When it suits you, yes. Alright. Thanks, Gina. Thanks for trying. Do 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 do. Are you back? No. We got throw down with Sholmes? No. Let's go talk to Hairbrain. We haven't seen him today. Suppose we could do that? Oh my goodness. This is very humorous to look at. Local prison, cell number 11. What's he doing? My hypothesis! Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations! And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. I like his theme music. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo! And who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikotaba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. None of this would have happened. Oh my God. No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. Please be mindful, I'm only 16. Please stop flirting with me, Professor Hairbrain. And I owe you an apology too, Professor. And I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh no! No! The whole thing, the whole miserable affair. It all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell? Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see. I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? No, actually, this is my autobiography. Your autobiography? How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. Oh, interesting. And I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers and an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see? So it's going to be a new serial publication from next month, part 1. An odd birth, an odd upbringing. You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. And I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Oh yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled, I was fiddled by the pair of them. By Assman and by that aloof engineer Drebber. We are not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Assman, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. And I'm sorry it's come to this. This was really no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh? And if you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you're aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Barak did. He believed in my hypothesis. Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Barak wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? And I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution of my trial, I mean. terrible accident happened, no one would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. And I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Baroque, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Baroque insisted I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start? I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so emphatic. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems. I still can't believe it. My hypothesis, as the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic. It probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about the burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We all want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that, only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Assman is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer. Mr. Enoch Trevor! Alright, this has to be my... I know I'm usually not into, like, the preppy music. But this is probably my top 5, to be honest. I don't know why I like it so much. Especially the part coming up. With the drop. Alright, so we got some time. This part. I like the slow fall. It's like climbing up the mountain. And then falling down the mountain. Alright, we have the depressed music. I really like that one. I like the one where it's like emotional, but not like the super depressing music. Not the Cosmo death music. Cosmo fake death music. That's gonna be so weird. That's gonna be so weird. Apparently he didn't get mad. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. But, and then the emotional one that started at the close to the beginning of the episode here, before I lost my mind. That music, I like that one a lot too. And I say top 5 because I'm sure there's other soundtracks that I've really liked that I'm forgetting, but I like this one a lot. Is he an engineer, or a magician, or a swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Assman first brought Drebber to meet me at my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist? Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see. But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us to his whereabouts? I'm sorry. We only ever discussed the kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop? There's every chance we might find the man there. So you've been to Drebber's place of work, then? Yes, just once, you understand? It was an enormous place, plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see? Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure, I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. The indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget the secret formula and use that instead. What do you think, Miss Susato? Ode to machine for your next birthday? I have never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example? Look, Susato's so proud of herself for that. No! Yes, I do! He gave me his business card once, it's right here! What? Are you kidding me? What? Let me see that! Oh, I love the throw side view. Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Enoch Drebber, engineer! I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address. No. Oh well. I can't say I'm surprised. Have Toby sniff it. Still, this could be useful. Oi, Gina, you want to give this to Toby, eh? Do 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 do. Alright, before we just stand there forever and jam out to the harebrained theme. Hey Gina, you wanna let Toby sniff this? Oh my goodness. Or not. One of these days, it will work. Why do I feel like the lady is related to Drebber? This dark smudge here. I think perhaps it's machine oil. Oh, yes, possibly. Professor Harebrained mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Yes, that's right, but more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Don't worry, I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Alright, let's go hang out with Toby. Cosmo. Called it, dude. I can't believe it. That was not on my plot twist bingo. Why did I scroll past the stage? Oi, Gina, you wanna let Toby sniff it, eh? You want my new dog, to sniff this card, eh? About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning my letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Yeah, how come? There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this very high-quality French machine oil, it has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that. You should smell it. Oh, right? You mean Toby? Hey, yo, Toby, sniff this. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he? Professor Hairbrain informs us this oil is unique to Mr. Trevor's workshop. I think he's picked up a scent. So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right! That's exactly what we were hoping! Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. What? Wait, when did you... Want some pickpockets? If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina! You go, Queen! I'm sure you'll be promoted! Poor Gregson. Right then, Odo, leave it to me. Sorry. We're gonna go get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigations as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson again. Ready, Toby? Get that oil sink, have you? Come on then, boy. See you later. I do hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. And ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Right. So we sent Toby on his way. You're not back yet, alright. You're not back yet either, alright. Somebody hiding somewhere? No. No. Go up in the office, eh? I like this music a lot. Alright, let's look at the court record. Actually, that's Susanto. What should we do, Susanto? Do you know? I honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain. And certainly not so soon. It's funny. For the past 6 months, I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of Judicature back in Japan. Please, Mr. Naruto. I may have been dressed as a man, but it was a very reserved performance. So what your father said in his letter about a Ryutaro takedown is reserved? Well, anyway, I'm back here in this great capital now, and ready to assist you again in any way I can. Thank you, Miss Susato. It's my pleasure, Mr. Naruto. Alright, that didn't tell me anything. That didn't tell me anything. Hello there. Why do I feel like he's related to the other lady? Nah, look here, Miss Susanto. Oh yes, the wood's cracked and broken a little. I suppose because it fell from such a height? Yes, from the height at which the balloon was flying down into the crystal tower below. Fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. Leaving the man inside tragically dead. Alright. That seemed important. Alright. Now perhaps... No. Ah, yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you?
The sign says it's the Madame Tussbell's special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside.
I know, can you believe that? Pay more money? As if we haven't been scared enough already?
It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo.
Alright. That's not what I meant to click on. That's not what I meant to click on either. I meant to click on the Z button. You know, I could just press Z on the keyboard. I've been oddly adverse to the keyboard today. Hit that back button, baby. Alright. Maybe.
Oh yes, that's just what we need to prove my hypothesis.
No. Nothing to do with your hypothesis, actually.
Then take it away. I don't want to be bothered with anything that doesn't assist my science.
Alright. Keep your abundant hair on. Alright. That didn't do anything. I guess we could present. Or no. Alright, he doesn't care about this either. Anything else? Iris is at the market, Sholmes is missing. Oh my goodness. I just need to use the keyboard. Wish I could just use the B button on the Switch. B is for back.
We need to spend a little more time investigating here.
I guess there's something I haven't clicked on then. There has to be something in here I've missed. Oh my goodness. Look at this big thick book here.
Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team spending, I think. Oh?
What is it?
It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're buying 500 scalpels every month.
500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses.
I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened too.
It does seem a bit strange. You're right. 500 scalpels a month? What could they possibly be using all of them for? What are you doing? Ah! I love your outfit. Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so... So you thought you'd snoop around? That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want? Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Aspen's body, I mean.
So we came to ask you about your findings, on Lord Strongheart's advice.
Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given it his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately. So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Odie Aspen, who had disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Aspen who appeared moments later partway up the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. But that can't be right. If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out.
Let's see. If two people who look very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they?
Very true, but sadly in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Ah, fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British judicial system. But one day, they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course.
Oh my! But that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us?
My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. And this hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. I don't know what this is, but this is disturbing.
Mama, what is this?
Ah, where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? This is a lawyer, dear.
Oh.
Hello. To meet you, pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Renoski Naruho.
Mama.
Yes?
Can I cut this one up?
What?
Now, I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like.
Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see.
Boring.
I think I just had a near-death experience.
Oh dear! Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse!
Then let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
And I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful, you're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit.
Yes, Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture.
Yeah, this lady's sus AF as well.
Mama, can I cut this one up? I've never seen inside one of those Japanese before.
No, that is a live specimen. Oh my goodness.
Here we are again, at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to the place yet. And I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home, via the confectionery, of course.
Susanto-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she?
Eek!
What's the matter?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail.
Uh-huh.
What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find. That's the temporary waxwork himself.
Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh yes, hello again. It's Rinosuke Naruhodo.
I must say, I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
But yes, the mystery is solved already.
Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Allure. Do not disturb, huh?
Poor Susato-san, he looks very perplexed. I'm disturbing.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he?
Oh my goodness. Now, I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh! What would he...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! The world-famous great detective in waxwork, Herlock Sholmes!
Susato-san! Susato-san! Susato's dead. Didn't have that on my plot twist bingo.
My most humble apologies.
I thought I'd died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment. Via London. That's not the confectionery.
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point.
As long as it's not of questionable street food quality.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes?
Merely a secret identity, you understand? Though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved?
We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume.
Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. No, I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today for that matter.
Everybody press F in the chat for Herlock. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly?
No, well, I do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone?
Oh yes! It's a most modern invention allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. And as such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned.
That's amazing.
Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tuspel's at all costs. The hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all.
Poor Iris.
Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork?
Yeah. Why the heck you lying? Why you lying? Why you always lying? Stop freaking lying. We're in the process of trying to track somebody down.
No.
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Trevor. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man.
He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on, and that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas?
I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance at least, I may be in a better position to help.
Yeah, it's Trevor's appearance.
Unfortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. And as soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I shall gladly give you my thoughts on it.
Alright, I would like to present the photograph before we ask why he's lying about Cosmos. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print?
It's of Mr. Enoch Trevor, the face of the engineer we seek, who looks oddly related to that creepy coroner lady.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Hey, that's the guy who ransomed that waxwork today.
Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden.
Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us?
My dear Naruhodo, please stay that piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder.
You told us it was murder, and you examined Cosmo-sama's body.
Indeed, and wherein lies the problem?
We met him earlier today, the victim, Cosmo Asogi.
You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Cosmo-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all. Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo?
I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes.
I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that.
Please, Mr. Sholmes.
Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me?
Oh, well, what is it?
As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned. And I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains.
Oh yes, the professor exhibit, isn't it?
Would you like to see it for a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand?
What?
The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone?
And the price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it.
Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes?
Surely you only need look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness.
I can never tell with you, that's the point.
Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain, and I invite you to peruse it at your leisure.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit.
All right. Through those heavy curtains at last. Hey, I want to go in the curtains. Let me in. 5 shillings we've had to pay. It doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it?
No. Ah, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills.
Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands or chip-loving inspectors.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think. Oh dear! I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Miss Susato, I say we turn on our heels and go straight home via a really big confectionery.
We certainly can't do that. We paid 5 shillings already. Quit wasting my money, Ryunosuke.
Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. We've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we will get what we paid for.
Is that fear or frustration that's making Susato-san's voice tremble?
It's the fact that I might be kind of thirsty. This must be the killer. The fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Tussbell said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know, it looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail.
So this is the condemned man?
Yes, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine, but unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Miss Susato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it?
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absently-minded forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum?
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass, and quite a big piece, too.
It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than a normal window glazing.
Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from? From the Crystal Tower, my dudes?
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength.
But why?
Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, as in a big building, for example.
Nah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken, too.
You don't mean?
Exactly, the Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition.
But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxwork jacket?
It makes you think, doesn't it? Oh, because the body decoy was dropped from the... That makes sense, because it's like, how would he have been able to live up there in the balloon with all the gas? So the fake body was dropped, and then eventually got switched with the real body. Early in court, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick. And now we've discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? No, obviously not.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
And it seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hand, too. Look.
Perhaps we should investigate a little more detail. Oh, wait. Is this... Interesting. What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment the dead body came back as a ghost on film.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken.
What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look.
You should see yourself, Susanto. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? Get some Susanto some ode to machine. And I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, do you think I should be manhandling the exhibits?
Do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruto?
And I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. Ah.
What on earth? How can...
I don't believe it. A black monocle.
Mr. Naruto, is it possible that this man is...
Yes. It's Enoch Drebber.
The color of his hair is different, but...
It's unmistakably him. Indeed it is.
Indeed it is.
Mr. Sholmes.
This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And then why does the convict behind him have no head?
My head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it.
What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it?
Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head tout de suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations.
Oh.
Do you know, though, something about this room is strange.
Strange? What do you mean?
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Miss Susanto. Do go on.
And, as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely could never really have happened, could it?
I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies.
Oh gosh! An enormous hound? How awful!
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted.
A closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity...
As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison which he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh!
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
Came back to life?
He clawed his way out of the ground and then emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events.
There was a witness?
But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat.
Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen. Alright. It's all coming together, my dudes. The Hound of the Baskervilles. The Bloody Dog Collar. Enoch Drebber. Cosmo Van Zeek's brother. Woo! It's a doozy. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber.
10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. And the sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying!
Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And in the sheer terror of what he'd seen, is said to have turned his hair white overnight.
Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him. His hair is completely white.
For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. And the public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. And as you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussbell's.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of night.
Yes, what was he up to?
The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest of levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. And after all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder.
Yes, I can imagine the impact that case must have had.
But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did the talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. And it was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, and as was established in fact.
What do you mean by no resurrection?
And the police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. And the convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
No! But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
And that would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of him since. And it's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think?
And of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Nah! What the bleeding Nora, no? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? No, I asked Iris, and she said this is where you've been. So?
Gina! Not so loud in the museum!
Madame Tussbell's will have you take a position as waxwork if you're not careful.
I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so?
All right, Gina, we understand. But please, put down the gun.
Sorry, I got scared. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy Co's workshop. What? You found Drebber's workshop? Yup. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now on a drag. So come on. Here's the address. Got the boss to write it out.
Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once.
All right then. See you there.
You go, don't mind me, I'll just stay here, being still.
What?
I know my place. In the exhibit over there.
Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming.
Your words hearten me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more.
Forget that, I'll pay for everything.
And then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once.
That man zoomed out of there. No offer to share the cost of Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you, Miss Susato. Right, let's go. That looks like...
Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed, it would appear so, though only a prototype, naturally.
Nah, so you got here then?
Gina, well done for finding this place, and in such little time. You've really worked miracles.
It's Toby who's the miracle worker.
I thought you lot would show up before long.
Hello, Inspector. What's wrong with your eyes? That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer?
Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue you lot turned up. And I wouldn't want to, say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right.
So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance.
And you, Sholmes!
Pardon?
They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers.
Nah. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model.
Right then, let's see what we can find in here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. My machine is covered by the special dispensation.
Oh my goodness, Susato.
There'd be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government.
Well, those two don't seem to be holding back.
It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change dropped on the floor, nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fella.
British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
And I think that's just these two, Miss Susato. Anything else up here? Little airplane. What on earth is this?
An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies.
Is that how the trick will be described, is it?
Sorry?
Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it?
Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky.
While suspended from somewhere else even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported.
So, to you, the solution is ever taller towers?
A little train over here, too.
This appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say?
It's an impressive-looking back massager, that's for sure. And I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away.
And it's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor.
Ah.
Would you like a massage?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
And I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Trevor than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course.
He's not going to let that go, is he?
It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times.
Oh, that looks like good evidence. This is... It's a European style of quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside.
Oh, do you suppose?
Crossbow bolts, these! In just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yup, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here.
With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute.
Well, you don't have permission, and no one's giving it to you. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger.
Oh!
Is something wrong, Miss Susanto?
Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too?
Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease! Whoever's in there, open up! This is Scotland Yard!
Oh my! Someone is in there!
Nah, this rotten bleeding lock!
My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute.
Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door.
There, you may enter at will.
You've confused minutes with seconds, I think.
Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for?
Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency.
There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow.
Yes. What? What's happened in here? Why is there footprints on the ceiling? Why is everything upside down? Rats, ain't no one in here after all.
But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises.
Maybe that's the sound of Drebber running away.
But there's only one door into this room.
And no windows that could afford an escape route. No skylights are too high.
What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling?
Blow me!
Blow me! What do we have here then? Is no one gonna notice the bomb? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
No, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what? To that Professor Hairbrain's barman machine, is it? Blimey! If we had these, there'd have been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal.
There's something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar.
A rope? What's significant about that?
Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo.
We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive, too.
There's no denying it, is there? There's footprints.
Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there.
Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean?
I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo.
That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. That's a really lovely model. It looks just like a real flying balloon.
And I think it's probably staying aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas.
A green flying balloon? It does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop?
Almost every piece of furniture is upside down.
Even Mr. Sholmes' suite ever isn't in this much of a mess.
You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo.
But I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se, it's that everything is literally upside down.
But why?
Is no one gonna comment on the bomb? Mr. Sholmes, have you found something?
Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in a point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this?
Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a large watch to me. Ah! Mrs. Sato, what's the matter?
Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it?
What? Did you say? A time bomb? Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? Eh?
You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo.
I won't take that as a compliment. You don't know nothing, do you, Odo? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? Yeah, well, I'm 18. You're an adult, Naru, Odo.
I invite you to consult the dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see. So that's it.
Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Miss Susato.
Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming.
Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself.
Oh, but how could you?
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade.
Gregson hates Sholmes so much. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh! You deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam, and I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Miss Susato.
Oh, yes! I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. And it's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. And almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down onto the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that...
Indeed, the key here is gravity. And it would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality.
My goodness!
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. And I quite understand your skepticism, Miss Susato. And I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction and my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact.
But then why does it have a clock on it?
And the most relevant question indeed, that is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. And there was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. And I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads.
Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
The question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is.
Ah!
By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and then make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently?
Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling, which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight.
I mean, wouldn't it make more sense that he just climbed up the rope?
And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me.
I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life.
The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean?
I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than an instantaneous kinesis.
But your whole deduction hinges on it.
Nah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. However improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with that exact phrasing. My original was clumsy.
Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sato lent me once.
Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes.
The spell's broken at last.
And the rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. Lonely coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Trevor had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled.
That argument is as circular as the coils of rope.
I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away.
If you're ready, then let us resume. Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular.
Hold it, Mr. Sholmes.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that?
Indeed.
Goodness! To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation.
But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so...
Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once.
Ooh, that's unusually merciless of you, Miss Susato.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he?
While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure.
Ah, look at that!
I know. That slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say?
To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me.
Take that!
The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps?
No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes, trust me.
And as you rightly say, though it appears at first glance all the furniture in the room is upside down, and this unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor.
And it's the exception that breaks the rule.
In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all.
My deepest sympathies for your loss.
Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes!
But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility.
You don't say.
Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound
obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that?
Quite! And naturally, there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device.
He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he?
I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned over all this furniture. So whoever it was must have had a reason.
I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself.
Take that!
Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination.
Precisely, I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not?
Yes, last year. When I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case.
And that's it. 4 people are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information.
Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think.
And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo?
When the day of the draw came around, I had forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it.
And that's it. 4 people are forgetful souls at heart and always forget where they've noted things down.
Not if you always note things in the same place.
I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn my room upside.
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room.
Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one.
Leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Dribber overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe.
Is he in the safe?
If a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get up there?
Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. Can't think of any other way to explain it at all.
Ooh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed.
It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place.
Well, I suppose we must put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail.
Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Oh. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look.
Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think?
If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though?
Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Take that!
The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection,
there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon.
But for what purpose?
The green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar, Data.
It was a piece of the green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene.
And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception.
You mean to say?
If we assume that the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it.
Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway.
But the balloon's out of reach.
That's why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights.
Oh dear! We desperately need to examine that balloon! If only there was some way we could see inside!
You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope?
I don't know about that one.
Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope!
Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground?
Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well.
Sure, you'd have to, like, shoot it through the balloon and then be able to pull on the other side. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we?
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow?
That was found at the scene, in fact!
In all likelihood, belongs to Mr. Drebber.
If the man had only brought it...
The man had only brought it away with him that day. He could have avoided losing his shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon?
Oh, the head. Ah! What a waxwork?
Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. Mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock.
We can't see the face inside, that means.
Just a moment, this is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness!
I see you've joined the dots, Miss Susato. Excellent.
Ah, of course. A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tussbell's model that you'd largely solved. There's only the head of the killer that was still missing.
Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tussbell's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor.
Yes.
But why is it here?
This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tussbell's and returning it, Sonstedt, earlier today, was none other than Enoch Drebber.
This is incredible. Professor Hairbrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop.
Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. And all that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure.
The architect?
You mean Mr. Drebber?
As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of those skylights. And obviously, the man must still be here in the room.
What?
And then his location should be abundantly clear. And if you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction,
Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room?
So Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors?
Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... Look at all that mess in front of the safe.
Yes, plans and accounting ledgers.
Almost as if someone was in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe, in fact.
Take that!
Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. Which tells us
that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time.
he was in fact searching for the combination to his safe.
Pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you?
By opening the safe, you mean?
What else?
Let's see. The combination was
432582.
I knew that. All right then, here goes. You found me. Wait. Excuse me?
Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume?
The dude's an android. Correct. You'd better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built.
And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tussbells as well.
Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate?
Your parcel?
It is a bomb! And I refer to, of course, to the time bomb. And I left it in the most prominent position.
Ah!
I see, stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me, then?
No! Mr. Sholmes! With only 7 seconds to spare!
That was too close for comfort. I got 1 foot in the grave already.
Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they?
Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say.
Anti-gravity devices don't exist!
Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Evil. What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Drebber.
What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt.
Whistling?
Nah, that would have been me.
Oh!
For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today,
No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. I also found a rope by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So, I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe.
And then burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon amongst the rafters.
And after that, you hid yourself in the safe? Having first set this parcel ticking, well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police.
Got a death wish, have ya? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb.
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it.
So in fact, the safe was the only safe place.
Precisely.
But once you climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again.
And I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. And I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you were planning to blow this all up?
No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But you seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works.
Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth?
Gregson's like, dude, you suck. Now, I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Hairbrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection, after all.
What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well... Dr. Scythe again, so the forensic investigation team are here.
And you know full well this engineer's a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, he'd be finished. You lot, leave at once.
My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. And after all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe?
Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe?
If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. And it is really nothing more than a shell.
Get out.
But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. And I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today.
But Mr. Sholmes?
Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands.
I said get out, now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
Understood! But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here,
that this lot disarmed! Inspector. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Drebber? So sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? What are you? That one? Yeah, you mean? Oh. It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Hairbrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. Oh. We've had a lot going on in this episode. Yeah, we saving. This has been an absolutely wild episode, you guys. Next time, going into Trial Part 3. So this guy is half android. Was gonna blew up the machine on the stage. Supposedly encountered the reincarnated professor, but was hanging out in the graveyard with a shovel, very, very weirdly. That turned his hair white. He's also now apparently half android. Sholmes is lying to us about Cosmo being dead. Cosmo has amnesia. Cosmo's hanging out under the guidance of Lord Strongheart, is now Van Zieks' apprentice. Cosmo not being dead in general. Gina has a dog. Gregson's going to France. Gregson's getting shipped off to France. That lady is suspicious to the nth degree. Susato's dad is hiding a bunch of crap. There's so much going on here. I don't even know how to do a proper recap. I feel like I tapped on points that stuck out to me, and then it's just like, oh yeah, then Professor Mikotaba did this, and the Hound of the Baskervilles, the professor killed people with the dog, and that dog's probably the collar that other guy stole that Shamspear is trying to find. How is this all linked? This is all insanity. You know, it's also insane that this episode's like 3 hours and 15 minutes long. I was like, I can spend 10 minutes talking about Apollo's horrible life. It'll be fine. And then, could have been 3 hours instead of 3 hours and 14 minutes. But yeah, this was an insanely long episode, so I think I can't touch on everything here. Let me know your craziest plot twist in the comment section down below. There's so much, absolutely so much going on here. That I just, at this very moment, I don't know what else to say. So I absolutely love this part here. This case has been one of my favorites so far. I've been enjoying all of them. The only case that I was a little iffy on is I just didn't like, I don't like that Cosmo died. I enjoyed the SS Buria. I enjoyed the characters. I didn't like that Cosmo died. So I wasn't crazy about that case. That I would say probably so far is my least favorite. This Great Ace 32 Resolve has just been hitter after hitter after hitter, starting off with just that fun, Susato's Ryutaro, but it turns out Many Memo had all this info that he uncovered, and it's been going insane, ramping up. Of course, that case with Mr. Natsume again, and Olive Green getting her revenge, and Shamspear being a giant sham, but now we have an even bigger sham. I don't know. So this has been a very enjoyable ride here with episode number 31. Trial Part 3 coming in tomorrow. I'm assuming we're going to have Drebber on the stand, so we'll see how that goes. But, like I said, if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go ahead and hit that like button. Leave your theories, comments, reactions, all of that down below. And if you're not yet part of the Alley's Treasure Trove family, I'd love to have you with us. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We also have a couple updates to our end of screen. Little thank you to my patrons. post. Do have a new treasure hunter, Daniel Carrillo, and then Mad Max has officially changed his name to King Otter, Lord of the Otters. So you guys will see that update at the end of the video. Daniel did actually join Patreon a couple days ago, but just because I had pre-recorded so much, I unfortunately haven't been able to give that extra special shout out. So thank you, Daniel, for joining. Hope you're enjoying things here on the Trove and that you're still having a blast. I really hope you appreciate that little extra special notes. I did see you join. It's just haven't been able to get that updated because of all the pre-recorded content. Took care of a lot of filming on Monday, which I'm very thankful for because stuff has been taking a lot of time this week, especially this episode right here. But, of course, got to give a big shout out to all of my patrons. Appreciate each and every one of you. We do have 5 Ultimate Excavators: Jack Perez, Keith Mina, Mako, Mark Mardini, and Stephen Olivo. 2 Gemstone Miners, Andon and Stephen Bly, and 1 Crystal Collector of John Michek. But thank you so much to all of my patrons. Like I said, appreciate every single one of you. And all patrons do have their names shown on the screen at the end of every video. But yes, that actually does it for me here today. I hope you guys had a blast. Not as much of a blast as, of course, the instantaneous kinesis machine. That's a little bit too much of a blast. But I hope you guys had an excellent time here. Definitely did not feel this long. This was an incredible investigation part. So much going on, so much going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Why does the weird lady have 500 scalpels a month? That's another weird thing. So much going on, so much going on. I'm absolutely loving it. So even though that does it for this one here, hope you guys will join me next time as we delve even deeper here into these mysteries on Allie's Treasure Trove. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, and hope to catch you in the next episode. Bye!